We've got a tariff fighter in blue and a rate cutter in red. Behind the curtain, things are shifting. Breaking news. The Federal Reserve meets this month, the end of July. What is going to happen? I believe there are a few scenarios, and that this is the number one scenario to cause the most awesomeness and chaos in the entire market. Will Jerome Powell resign? Will Jerome Powell be fired? Will they cut interest rates? Scenario one, 80% chance they do nothing. Scenario two, they cut by 25 basis points, a quarter of a point, very conservative, nothing crazy. Scenario three, all hell breaks loose in a good way. It's all WWE. It's all scripted. Jerome Powell and Trump are probably best buddies. They're going to strike a deal. And we're looking at a 1 to 300 basis points, 1 to 3% full chop. Are you prepared? So look, William Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. This is nothing more than a WWE script. They're all in on it. It doesn't matter if you like Trump, if you like Biden, if you like Obama, if you like Reagan, if you like, it doesn't matter. They're all in on it. It's a big club and we aren't invited. It's all a big scam. We're looking for a narrative. We need a narrative. There's a missing narrative. Good news comes at top of markets and bad news comes at the bottom. And we are about to print the biggest top you've ever seen, and the good news is about to come in. So the inflation narrative is going to go wild, and the interest rate cutting cycle is going to go wild, and the liquidity, quantitative easing, QE injections are about to go wild, and the narrative will be that Powell is on his way out, and Trump and him have sparked a deal, and Trump will ease and let off on the tariffs, and so Powell wins and he goes off into the sunset, and Trump gets the rates cut dramatically, and so he wins, and they can both walk off in glory and shake hands and be buddies. What happens when the Federal Reserve inexplicably announces a full point rate reduction? The crowd goes wild. Everybody goes crazy. Ah! It's going to be wild. All hell's about to break loose. They will announce this, that they have a special deal and something crazy is happening and brewing, and then Jerome Powell is going to come out there and adjust his tie and clear his throat like he always does and say, Trump and I came to an agreement. I'm on the way out. Here's your one full point cut, and we're entering a cutting season, and we're going to aggressively cut the rates, and we're going to the zero bound. This is a setup for a blow off top, and that's how they happen. Euphoria strikes the market, and everybody thinks there's no way it can go down. And that's how blow off tops happen. But there is a supernatural spin to this one. And God has been talking to many people, and God is always speaking. And if you're listening, he might be talking to you. And I think there's a marker, and I'm using the cryptocurrency XLM, Stellar Lumens, as a specific marker for this one. When we see it reach $2, be ready. Everything's about to fall apart. In addition, October 5th, it's going to be a day of infamy. I don't know what it is, but something's coming October 5th. Welcome to FX3, where we talk about faith, finance, and fitness. And this is the rebirth. I'm back, baby. We prepare physically, spiritually, and financially. Welcome. Let's break it down. Politics is like WWE. It's all a show. What we're seeing isn't professional politics. It's WWE in suits. We've got a tariff fighter in blue and a rate cutter in red.
Lower tariffs,
Theatrics, rivalries, battles, insults. It's all part of the show. Behind the curtain, things are shifting. Be ready for a melt up. Crypto, stocks, metals, you name it. If it can be bought and sold, the price is about to go up. Rates are about to drop, and it's going to feel like heroin to Wall Street. But under the surface, there are cracks. The economy is not firing on all cylinders. Cycles of deflation and inflation are speeding up. And does it feel like time is being accelerated? Let me tell you, it is. Have you heard of the fourth turning? Let me go to my notes. This is the craziest stuff ever. The fourth turning is created by historians William Strauss and Neil Howe, outlined in their book in 1997 called The Fourth Turning, An American Prophecy. They've studied American history back to the 1400s, and they've identified reoccurring generational cycles. Have you heard the phrase that's popular on social media? Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times create strong men. And the cycle repeats. That's the fourth turning, ladies and gentlemen. The cycle lasts about 80 to 100 years and is broken into four parts: a spring, a summer, a fall, and a winter. And these are societal. And the fourth turning is the winter. And when it's a societal winter, you'll know it. Each fourth turning ends with major upheaval and a rebirth. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II, all fourth turnings. The current fourth turning started in 2008. What a coinky dink. What happened in 2008? The Great Financial Crisis. The fourth turning always feature institutional collapse. Old systems break down: banks, norms, education, religion, media. The trust in those systems erode, and a new order must be created. So right now we have the baby boomers versus the millennial and Gen Z. So it does feel like everything's accelerating, because it is. You're in a fourth turning. This also aligns with biblical patterns of shaking before awakening and revivals. So just as the world shakes, God is typically using this cycle. In prophetic terms or biblical terms, this is the refiner's fire. Now, this fourth turning might be the most global and spiritual ever. You've got digital currencies, CBDCs, AI, war, social collapse, spiritual warfare. They're all converging. So unlike past turnings, this one may affect the entire world. But the good news, it's not the end. It's the birth of something new. Are you ready? The last fourth turning was 1929 to 1946. What a coincidence. What happened? A stock market event, Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929. You're talking about the Great Depression, Dust Bowl, bank runs, and the New Deal for the military. 1944, Bretton Woods. I don't know if you know what that is, but that was a brand new global financial system implemented. 1945, the United Nations was founded. And in 1946, the baby boomer generation begins. The one prior, Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War, the Reconstruction of after the Civil War, the emancipation of the slaves, constitutional amendments, power struggle between North and South. So what's happening now? 2008 to 2030, the current fourth turning. Are you familiar with the UN 2030 agenda for peace and prosperity? And right now, from 2021 until today, we're talking about debt crisis, global geopolitical tensions, war, inflation. Institutions collapse in the fourth turning and they get transformed. We're talking about the Federal Reserve. We're talking about the US government, the mainstream media, the educational system, and churches and other institutions alike. All of these things are being reshaped and reformed right now. So here's the deal. My story is probably not much unlike yours. In 2020, God punched me in the face. My entire world flipped upside down. It's very hard to describe what happened, but I'm a completely different person. In the past 5 years, my life has been completely flipped upside down. I have awakened to the reality that the invisible supernatural realm is real, and we live in a matrix, and we live in some type of control grid, and nobody can really define exactly what it is and how it works, but quantum physics is trying. Everything in my life kind of broke down. Now, it was euphoric at the beginning. It's like, wow, I now have this relationship with my creator that I've never had before. I started removing myself from old systems and old habits and old friendships and relationships, and then trying to build new ones. And the old want to hang on, and the new, and it's a very fine line you walk when you have this awakening process that I imagine you're very familiar with. I know you're feeling it too, but it was preparation. It was training for what's about to happen. All that pressure that you've been feeling, it's spiritual conditioning. I believe in prophecy. I believe that God speaks to us. The challenge is when we receive a word, we think it's very immediate. We think it's for right now. But what tends to happen is it tends to sit and mature and germinate, and something that we thought was going to happen 2, 3, 4 years ago eventually plays out, but it doesn't play out exactly as we thought it was going to be. So I alluded earlier to stellar lumens and XLM. This is a cryptocurrency that I knew nothing about before my spiritual awakening, and now I know everything about. God has led me directly to this specific asset, and I have been learning about this asset, and I have been looking forward to what's coming next. XLM will hit over $2. Now, when it does, you've got 48 hours. When it hits 3, that's it. The show's over, the music stops, and who's going to be left holding the bag? You've seen those shirts that say you are the exit liquidity? That's what happens. Now, what happens next isn't just a crash, it's an opportunity. This is part 1 of the rebirth of FX3. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that cool stuff, and come join me for part 2 when I explore this further. I'm going to give you some price predictions, an exact timeline, and a day that you'll never forget, October 5th.
Let your spirit soar. Take finance, fitness, with open the door. Let's freaking go. It's time to